Ep1 Productions.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into the lounge. I'm Joshua Tillman.
I'm Deja Jackson.
I'm Jeremiah, man.
I'm Janae Thomas.
And today we're going to be talking about some very interesting topics relating to relationships.
So, you guys, what do you think real love is?
Real love to me is when you just can't be without that person, or they're the first thing you think about in the morning, or the last thing you think about before you go to sleep.
You know, you better speak.
That's what I think about.
I think it's a feeling. Like, I think it's not only a feeling, but like a verb as well. Like, real love is something that you show, it's something that you do, and something that you feel. Like, it's just all three, like, in one.
I feel like real love is selflessness. I feel like real love is sharing yourself with someone in the rawest way, in the most genuine way possible, to just really invest your time, but invest yourself in someone else. I feel like that is the definition of real love.
I feel like real love, there is no real definition behind it. Like, it's just, I agree with Janae, like, it's a feeling. And like, when you feel it, you just know.
Okay, so what do you guys think is the difference between being alone and being lonely?
I feel like being alone is your choice. I feel like being lonely is a feeling. Now, do I feel like both of them can be incorporated? Yes. I feel like you can be tired of being alone, and the result of being tired of being alone is being lonely. And I feel like women, no offense, ladies, no offense, I feel like women do that whole being alone thing to kind of tap into that self-reliant scheme, that little, I-N-D-E-P-E, like that whole thing. I mean, and that's fine. That you're supposed to, know how to rely on yourself and do things on your own. And I feel like, you really don't need anybody to be around you for you to achieve what you set out to do in life. But I feel like, it's always good to have, some company around. You don't want to die alone, or, do a lot of other things alone. So you're going to get tired of being alone. So, but make sure when you get tired of being alone, go into it with like an open mind and an open heart to other people who want to be a part of your life, if that makes sense.
Well, backpacking off of Josh, me being a woman, I do feel like we sometimes as women, we are like, oh, we're independent, we don't need somebody, so we want to be alone. But I do feel like even you always need somebody. Like, or you always want somebody.
Right.
Like, you could be like top of like the business corporation, but like you want somebody to share it with when you go home. Like, you don't want to just come home to an empty house. So I think that the women that are out there, like, oh, I'm independent and I don't need a man, those are probably the loneliest women like out there, because I feel like if you're alone, you don't need to like keep telling people that you're alone. Like, they should just be like, oh, she's just by herself because she's waiting for somebody to come along. It's not, she doesn't portray her being lonely. She just portrays that she doesn't need anybody, but she's willing to let somebody come in and comfort her.
Exactly.
I feel like being alone is like finding freedom in isolation. Like, I'm alone, but I'm alone by choice. Like, I'm not out here yelling to the world that I'm independent, I'm gonna be by myself. I'm finding myself, and I don't have to tell anyone that. You know what I'm saying? And then lonely, I feel like sometimes it's when you become desperate. Like, you crave feelings from other people, but it's just not like, it's not met. Like, it's not given or receiving, like, so.
Right.
I would have to say that being alone is when you're more secure in yourself and you're okay with being in this particular time in your life where you're not with anybody and you don't need anybody. But when you're lonely, I hate to say this, but in some cases, when people are lonely, they become a little bit more thirsty. That's where that thirst comes in. They are always
dehydrated.
Right. You got to stack up on some water.
They need that attention to feed them and to keep them going. So
Exactly.
And then sometimes you can be like lonely, like in a relationship, or you could be lonely like by yourself. So with that being said, like, what do you think is the difference between like what do you think the benefits are with being in a relationship and like being single versus like being alone and being lonely?
I feel like, well, I'm I'm single, so I feel like no boyfriend, no problems. But that's just me. So, but I mean, of course I look at relationships and I'm like, oh, I want that too. But I mean, I'm okay with being single. So
I would have to say, coming from like you being in a relationship, I would say being in a relationship is just because like you always have that person to just always go to talk to about anything because y'all are comfortable with each other. But then when you're single, it's like you might not have that person to talk to, or that person to just connect with on a certain level. You know what I'm saying? So.
I mean, I'm like new into a relationship, and I know like being single, like I had a lot of meaningless relationships. So I think like that's the difference. Like when you're single, like you have a lot of like mini meaningless relationships.
Right.
Like you have people that you can go like have fun with and like talk to. But when you're in a relationship, like it's on a different level. Like you still have a person that you can like go and talk to and like do all this other stuff with. But it's like somebody that's yours.
Right.
Like you don't have to share it with nobody else. Like that's
Right.
like that's you.
Exactly. I feel like being in a relationship versus being single, well, given that I'm in a relationship, I feel like when it comes to it, it comes with consistency. You don't have to worry about having options or having other people because you're always, as long as you and the other person are being consistent with each other, it's no reason for you to look outside of the relationship for anything else. So you look for that consistency, you look for that faithfulness and that belief in each other that you are going to hold each other down at the end of the day. So I feel like, you just don't, when that connection starts to dissolve, then I don't feel like you should look elsewhere outside of the relationship. I feel like you should just end the relationship altogether versus hurting the other person, trying to pretend like the connection is still there when it's really not. So, I mean, that's just my understanding on it because that's my favorite part about my relationship is because it's consistency. And it's so consistent that I just don't have the desire to look elsewhere for love or for attention from anyone else. But with that being said, do you think that being lonely makes people look harder for love? Do you think that they start to like look for love in the wrong places, or they just get desperate, or some type of level of that? What do you think?
I definitely have to say being lonely what's the word I'm gonna say? It kind of in a sense not forces you, but it allows you to want to look for love in the wrong places, and then you might end up misconstruing how that person treats you for love when in actuality it's not the love that you need or the love that you're really looking for. You're just tired of being alone, so you'll take anything at that point.
Right.
I do think that loneliness does make you a little desperate.
I feel like it depends on your mindset and what type of person you are. Because you might be lonely and then you hit that desperate mode where you'll do any and everything just to have what you think is love. And then some people, yeah, you're lonely, but you're not going to go out there like trying to get it. You wait for it. Like you wait for it to come naturally.
I concur with all of y'all. Like I feel like loneliness leads to desperation and desperation leads to catastrophe. I feel like you're going to look for love in the wrong places. You're going to be all over the place, and you're going to be so hungry for that attention, for that feeling, for that care, that you'll just fall for anything. You'll settle for anything just to say, I am loved, or I am in a relationship because it sounds good, because it looks good, because you don't have to be by yourself anymore. So I feel like those are key components in that. So I feel like loneliness at the end of the day can cause a person to look harder, but sometimes it makes them oblivious at the same time because love could be right in front of their faces, but they're looking so hard, they're looking so far into it that they can't even see it.
And I think those are the type of relationships where you feel lonely in the relationship because you're not in it for the right reason.
Exactly.
You weren't in it because you were lonely. You found the person that genuinely cared about you. You were in it because you're lonely.
You could have said that better. You're really good enough.
Okay, so earlier in the week, me and a few of the lounge group members decided to go out and interview people for the surveys. And we interviewed them with questions like, have you ever dated because you're lonely? And when you do date or get in a relationship, do you already love the person? And we decided to make a mashup of the video so you guys could see whatever was said.
So we decided to do a survey. Have you ever dated someone because you were lonely?
Lonely? Not necessarily lonely. I wouldn't say lonely.
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so? What do you think so?
Because I've never, I guess you say, approached the guy to date him. They always approached me. So I've never had to, I guess, go to somebody, can you be my boyfriend because I'm lonely or I like.
She basically has the juice, that's what she's saying.
No, hello, is it me you're looking for?
Have I dated someone because I'm lonely? All the time. I'm very lonely.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm light skinned, so I do be listening to them Drake songs.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know when the last time I ever was lonely, so I don't choose relationships just like get attention from one person.
In most of your relationships you have been in, did you begin the relationship because you loved the person?
I began it because I was most likely lonely. Most likely.
Okay. All right.
And when you do date or get into a relationship, is it because you love the person?
Yeah, it definitely would be because of love. I'd rather it grow from a friendship rather than spontaneous, I like you at that moment type deal. So. See it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile.
Yes, I have had instances like that, but I've also had instances where I was in it for just the physical attraction.
No. It's like a strong like, a crush. Something temporary.
Man, Crush Monday.
Saying what type of love they talking about?
Man, you talking about that good she love, you talking about just come here.
I can't.
I don't know.
I'm gonna just be real. No.
8 months, I'll say I love you. If it don't hit to that point, I'm not gonna say I love you.
If it's strong like 5 years, that's love.
So during the video, I realized that a lot of people didn't date or get in relationships because they love the person. And some people, it was 50-50 with whether they date because they're lonely. But what stuck out to me the most was when one person was like, it take 5 years to love someone or 8 months to like say I love you.
Restrictions?
Right. I didn't know there was a time limit on.
I didn't know it was either. You out here putting gates on love. You can't be doing that.
I feel like you shouldn't put restrictions on your feelings because that's not being real. Like I feel like when you get into a relationship, like you're supposed to be real. So if you're with somebody and y'all been talking for 3 months and then like you feel like that emotion, like this is who you really want to be with and you feel comfortable saying like I love you, then I feel like you should say it. Like you shouldn't be like, no, I'm gonna wait 6 months or it's too soon, because I feel like it's never too soon because you don't know when you could be gone.
And it don't sound genuine, like I wait 8 months to say I love you. Like, are you purposely waiting? Do you really love them but you're trying not to be the person to say it first? Like,
And I don't like that either. I don't like how people, I feel like that's selfish to wait until a person says it to you so that you can say it back. I feel like that's not the reason that you should say it back. If you feel something and you genuinely feel it out of the crack of your heart, you have to express that regardless of the response that you get. You know, because that's what genuine love is. You shouldn't just be like, ooh, I wasn't the one who said it first, so da-da-da-da-da. And then people have this misconception that the person who says it first in the relationship is the person who loves harder or the person that loves more in the relationship. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that it is very bold and courageous for one of the people in the relationship to say it, but the other person should be saying it because they mean it and they genuinely feel it, not just because the person said it and it sounds good or they don't want to hurt their feelings or they just want to say, you know, I love someone. And then there comes a point where there's difference between loving someone and being in love, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like in some circumstances, either person is scared, and they're scared of that once they say it, that person might not feel the same way, and then their whole situation can change because that person might be like, okay, boy, you're moving too fast, or, you know what I'm saying? So you just gotta look at both sides of it.
I also feel like in a relationship, like you guys should kind of be like on the same page.
Yeah.
Like, if he's not showing the type of emotions that you're showing, then obviously like it probably wouldn't be like a time.
Y'all need to have a woo-woo conversation.
Right, y'all should have like
what's up with us?
a mutual understanding, like where is this going? What are we doing? Like how do you feel about me? Like you guys haven't had that conversation and y'all aren't ready, like y'all aren't on that step to be like, oh I love you too. And I don't think that you should say it just to like spare somebody's feelings, because later down the line, if it comes out that you said it just because I said it, like my feelings are gonna be hurt because it wasn't genuine. Like
exactly.
Like why would you say, like I would you be honest with me, like I'm not feeling that way right now. I do care about you, but it's not at the point of love. But I do care about you. Like I rather somebody say that than be like, I love you, and then I'm over here thinking that like we love each other, like we're in love, and really you're just like, I said it because you said it. That's selfish and not selfless.
And with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. I'm so sorry. I know you were looking forward to more. But tune in next time, and thank you for tuning in